Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 250, What's Up? And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host. I'm here today in my home studio in Orlando, Florida. Today is going to be a great day, dear friends. Wow, can you believe it? It is already April 3rd, and this is show 250, dear friends, 250. And this is amazing. This is amazing. We've been on the show now so many years, almost 5 years on the show. And this is pretty miraculous because I remember when this was just an idea. So happy 250th show, friends. And I know many of you have been with us since the very beginning. I remember how happy I was when the very first person from China decided to support us in the amount of $2 a month for an entire year. That was pretty amazing. And how the show has grown, how I've grown, and I hope, friends, how you've grown as well as a result of the show. So it is the month of April. If you are of the Christian faith, we're right around the corner from Easter, and I love Easter because it's such a time of newness. And this is a great show topic. So what is the title for Authentic Spiritual Journey, show 250? The title is, What's up? What's up? What's up? Yep. What is up? So this is a fun one for me. I have a couple friends who, when they see me, that's the first thing they say is, what's up? It gets exaggerated. And that's a lot of fun. What's up? Well, what is up? I'm going to turn this around to something spiritual. What's up? When I hear that, I'm not thinking, what's happening. What I'm thinking is, what's up? In other words, what's in your face right now that you can't ignore? What's up? What's up? So in my work, I work with a variety of individuals from around the country now, and occasionally even around the world. And it's so interesting. I get some standard questions. One of the questions that's most standard is, how do I know I'm receiving Spirit's guidance for me? And probably the second most asked question is, how do I know what to work on right now? Right? And both those answers are pretty simple. How you know it's God's guidance for you is it good for you? Not do you like it, but is it good for you? And the answer to this second question, what's up? What's up is, what's in my face right now that I can't ignore? That's what's mine to work on right now, right? What's mine to work on right now is what's in my face. In other words, what has come up along my path and journey that I didn't consciously call up, that has thrust itself into my life and world. And I go, what is this about? Just when I thought I was living a spiritual life, or just when I thought I knew what I was doing, this comes up. Well, friends, there is a purpose in everything. There is a purpose in everything. And what do I mean by this? Well, what I mean by this is that God uses everything. God uses everything. And when we think we've got it going just right, that's exactly when your soul starts to say, I'm ready for more. See, because from the place of the mind always wants to say, this is being done to me, right? That somehow I am a victim to life. But what we know is it is the very intelligence of our own soul that so often calls this up in our life and in our world. So the good news is, if you have something up for you right now that you don't like, if you have something up for you right now that's difficult or hard, or, a big stretch for you to deal with, that's great news for your soul. That's great news for your soul. So the issue is now you've got to get your mind and your soul operating together. So you always want to be able to act in the best interest of your soul. And so let me take a breath and a sip of coffee. Think about what I've said right now. Or not. I didn't mean to sound over directive. That's what I was doing. I was thinking about what I just said. What's in your face that you can't ignore, even if in the short term it feels awful? For your soul, this is very good news. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So this is many years ago. It was over 20 years ago now. And I was going through a little bit of a tough time. I'd moved my whole life to Kansas City. I'd left my music career and was going to go into ministerial school. Several people thought I'd lost my ever-loving mind, which I probably had. And I was working with this spiritual teacher, and I've mentioned her on the show before, Jane Elizabeth Hart. And as I was working with her one day, I just started sobbing. And I said, why won't God give me a break? Just through the tears, I was sobbing. Why won't God give me a break? And she laughed. And I was like, oh, you mean this sob story doesn't work on you? And she laughed again. She said, honey, this is what a break from God looks like. And friends, that statement 20 years later still reverberates, still informs, and still teaches me. This is what a break from God looks like? Whoa. In other words, she didn't care about my little personality temper tantrum and sad hissy fit. What she could see was through all that personality stuff, that at the core of me, something was trying to grow and transform. How did she know that? Because everything I tried before wasn't working, and this is what was up for me. Since that time, as my work with people has developed, I've said the same phrase many, many times. Because see, the personality of us is limited. And when I say the personality, as we grew up, we all cultivated a personality to survive. And that's exactly what it is, a survival mechanism. But how you've learned to be in the world, your personality, is not the core or essence of who you are. The personality is a bit of a mask that we wear throughout as we go throughout the world. And our soul, which is what I'm always speaking of, our soul is this part that seems to remain sometimes elusive and sometimes very hidden, even though it is the driving force of all of our growth. It's what's been with us since the beginning of time and will be with us when we leave this body during this lifetime. Your soul is eternal. Your soul is eternal. But the personality doesn't like when things happen that are unplanned. The personality gets upset when the unexpected happens. And the personality goes into denial. And it literally says things like, this cannot be happening right now. Have you ever said that? I've said it. Have you ever said that? Have you ever said, this can't be happening right now, when of course it was happening? Or have you said the words, I can't deal with this right now? In other words, we go into denial, we ignore, we repress, we suppress what may be happening, when in fact, the very difficult thing that is happening might be a key to joy that's right around the corner. So when you've been on the spiritual journey a while, you learn not to overreact to what life sends, because you know there's a purpose in everything. When I was first on my journey, really, really long time ago, I was in my teens, And I heard this speaker say, nothing is wasted in the kingdom of God. And boy, has that been true for me. Anything that's up for me becomes fodder for my spiritual growth. Do you know that word? That's an old word, fodder. It becomes fodder for my spiritual growth. In other words, I use it as a way to grow, mature, to prosper, to evolve spiritually. So rather than denying or ignoring, we start to ask the question, why has this shown up for me now? Consciously, we're looking at it. We are praying about it, thinking about it, having spaciousness around what's happening. Rather than being in reaction mode, we go into a type of inner reflection and ask ourselves, wow, of all the things that could be coming forward for me, why is this particular thing coming forward now at this time? How do you know what to work on right now? Whatever is up for you. And guess what? If nothing's up for you, that answer is also easy. Enjoy. Enjoy. Sometimes the work is to simply enjoy the ride, enjoy the work you've already done. Be with friends, be with family, create something amazing, be in the love and joy of the moment. So you don't always have to be in this arduous task of soul work, but we want to be conscious, we want to be aware. And this show is really about how do I know how to do my soul work? And one of the ways you know is whatever's up for you right now. And I want to give you another example. So I've been going along. Life has been very good. My son is amazing. I've been doing some work on my home as I love to do. I did, though, just get sick, and that I was not happy about. I think it was just a bad cold that lasted nearly 10 days. I even missed work, which is very unlike me. And friends, I was not happy about that at all. Well, in the midst of that, I also found out my aunt is going into hospice and her husband has dementia. And my memories of these two are not all rosy. And I realized that as I was down with the sickness, this opportunity to heal something in my soul over this relationship presented itself. Here's what I mean. Some situations that happen with his aunt and uncle, nobody in the family knows about, but I know it. And so as people are calling me for support in their grief, people in my own family, I'm hesitant to give it because my feeling reality around these two people is so different. And so I thought, what am I needing from them? What am I needing from myself? What am I needing from my family at large? And my personality wanted to ignore it and shut it down. My personality wanted to say, oh, I'm not dealing with this right now. I've got a big event coming up in a couple days. I've got, all this stuff going on. I want to support my son. I don't have time to deal with this, was what I wanted to say. And you know what? I'm just not going to talk to anybody about it. I'm going to put all their text messages on ignore. Which, if I needed to do that, would not be a bad choice. Sometimes you do need to protect yourself from certain things if you're not ready to deal with it. But the truth is, friends, spiritually, I was being lazy. I was tired. I wasn't feeling good. And when I got that news, I just didn't know how to deal with it right off the top of mind. And so rather than deal with it, what I wanted to do is deny it, ignore it, and push it away and say, this is not for me. But then I realized if I do that, I'm not going to get the blessing in whatever this is. I'm not going to get the blessing of learning what healing is here for me. So rather than denying it or ignoring the situation, rather than pulling my love away from my family around it or their kids, I'm getting some spaciousness around it internally. And I did need to pull back for a day or two to kind of get clear about how do I want to walk through this? Because what I realized, because it was so emotive for me personally, that if I didn't get some space around it, I was going to say something sideways to my family. Do you guys know what I mean by sideways? That's where you say something passive aggressively because you can't find your own authentic, powerful voice in it. Part of me wanted to say to my family, you know what? You guys deal with this on your own. I don't have to be your minister in all this. You figure out a way to deal with it on your own. That's what my personality wanted to say. But as I got a little space for myself, I had this aha moment that what I needed to first do was get some spaciousness around this for me. What I needed to first do is have some reflection on what was going on with me emotionally around this. What I needed to do is to just sit with what would be the highest response at a time like this. And of course, it was certainly not what my personality wanted to do at all. It never is. You know, I jokingly say that the ego or the personality is wrong, but only 100% of the time. Only 100% of the time is the personality wrong. So I knew when I was hearing those internal ideas of, I don't want to deal with this, I knew it was personality stuff. Sometimes, though, you have to let yourself have it because it's what what your soul has used over time as a self-protection mechanism. That's really what the personality is. It's a mask to walk through the world to make sure you don't get hammered in emotionally unsafe situations. So when something starts to present that's so similar from a childhood situation, it reminds you of a negative memory or a trauma, what happens is you go into a trauma state. So one of the ways I was trying to spin out of that was to ignore it, deny it, push it away, push the people away that needed my support, right? And so I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I could see that that's what my personality wanted to do. And rather than do that, I could pull back that projection and say, what is this about for me? You know, how will I deal with this ongoing? How can I grow my soul through this instead of ignoring it and pushing it away? Because that's exactly what I want to do. So even now, as I talk about it, I'm just breathing into how that felt. And so when I can get into my soul around this, when I can do what I call creating spaciousness around it, and I'm sure that phrase is probably not original to me, but I don't know where I got it from. I just like to create spaciousness around it. That means I can let my soul observe my reaction. And if you haven't listened to the show on the observer self, we'll try to put that in the show notes so you have it, the observer self. So in other words, what I could do is I could get my soul into the place where I was aware of my soul. I was in my observer self, so I could observe my own reaction. And as I did that, what happened is some power returned to me. And by power, I mean spiritual power that doesn't want to ignore or deny, but spiritual power that knows it's stronger than anything that's happened to me, anything that's impacted me emotionally, that the spirit of me, the soul of me is strong and capable and courageous and can feel the feelings of what has happened, but still hold this higher energy and possibility of all that is. So I could get into my observer self. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying that word. That's hilarious. My observer self. I could get into that higher self so I could observe what was going on in my emotions, but also see that my soul was standing there shining, ready to inform this old reaction. This type of inner reflective work is what I term soul work. Right? So, and I know that you as a listener to a show like this are deeply invested in living a good life. You're deeply invested in making the world a better place. You're deeply invested in the work of the soul. And so when you hear me say these things, you go, oh, right. So you don't have to react to be right or protect yourself. What you can do is have spaciousness around these feelings, go into that observer self and see what is trying to come forward for you in terms of your soul's healing. So the question becomes, if you get in a situation like this, how am I going to deal with it? Am I going to go into my old reaction mode and deny and ignore and repress and suppress? Or, am I going to go into my addiction to deal with it? Or am I going to move into the soul? Am I going to become mindful of what my reactions are and how I want to deflect everything that's happening? And can I be present? Can I be conscious? Can I be safe and secure and aware right in this moment? Can I be secure and safe and aware right in this moment, knowing all is well? Knowing this is up for me right now because it is time to heal. This type of inner reflection takes a lot of personal responsibility. And I've learned over the years, most people aren't willing to do it. It's easier just to blame somebody else for how you feel and move on. But we are seeking to be conscious beings. And as we are seeking to be conscious beings, we are looking for the healing amidst life's trauma drama. Right? And what we know cognitively is that everything that comes forward for us is to help us heal. Everything that comes forward for us is to help us move into a new way of being. Whatever comes forward for us is our soul saying, I'm ready to deal with this. And that's how you know what's yours to work on. If it's up right now, it means your soul has healed to a point that it's ready to look at this, even if you never ever have before. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So what is up for you right now, my friend? What is up for you right now, my friend? Think about it. What's up for you? And if nothing is up for you, enjoy. Just enjoy. But what I want to help you do, we're going to end with this. I want to wrap up with a few of these thoughts that I've said today. If you're going along the journey and you're not sure what to work on now, the answer is simple but not easy, right? The short answer is whatever's up for me right now is what is mine to do. Whatever's up for me right now along the journey that I did not consciously seek or ask for is mine to do. Whatever's in my face that I cannot ignore is mine to heal. And as you begin to look at that, it's going to take tremendous courage on your part. It's going to take tremendous fortitude. It's going to take time to process. You may need to reach out for a coaching session with me or somebody you love and trust that supported you along life's journey. It is going to be a time of challenge, But don't forget, it is most definitely a time of soul growth for you. And friends, if I know one thing, it is that you are here to grow, to prosper, and evolve. You are here to grow as a soul, my friend. You are here to enjoy all that life has. And you can do that as you have the courage, the willingness, and the fortitude to heal. So as you do this work in the coming week, I'm going to be lifting you up. I'm going to be praying with you and for you, knowing that you do have the courage to do what's yours to do, that you do have the courage to look inward, and rather than react in a way that's negative and hurtful of others, you're going to figure out a way to get some spaciousness around what it is that's up for you so that you can really heal this now. Because life is meant to be lived. Jesus said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And I firmly believe, friend, you are here to live an abundant life. You do that by doing the work of your soul, not by ignoring and denying, by doing the work of your soul. And that moves you into more joy, more love, more goodness than ever before. So I am going to be lifting you up this week, dear friends. Please send us a note. Let us know how you're doing. If I can support you better with more tools on how to work with this, please give me that feedback. I want you to be able to move forward in this with love, with confidence, with grace as you do the deeper work of your soul. And as always, dear friend, thank you so much for listening. Again, we're lifting you up for God's highest and best in your life. And I look forward to seeing you in person very soon and talking to you next week. Blessings on the journey, dear friend, and thanks again for all your support.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2023, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.